Okay, welcome back. Long time. Um, Principle three, know your mission, which in Hebrew is ma choivasoi ba'olamoi. What is your choiv is an interesting word. What is your obligation in this world? What is your commitment? I don't know exactly how to translate that. Um, know your mission is described as, is defined as to discover, articulate, and identify with the overall and specific purpose of your life. To discover, articulate, and identify with the overall and specific purpose of your life. Okay, we'll just read the reverse definition, which is more common. To dismiss true purpose and direction in favor of temporary and circumstantial meaning. I always think of a Frank Zappa song that I used to listen to called Any Way the Wind Blows. Yeah. It's just like you got in your mind this image of kind of a stalk of wheat. That if the wind goes that way, it goes that way, and then the wind changes direction, it goes that way, and it's just whatever happens, wherever it goes. Whereas like a cedar tree, like imagine an oak tree, just just unshakable. That's what we're trying to remedy, this just being blown around by life. And instead of being blown around by life, have a clear direction in which we're trying to go. That's know your mission. So the opposite is to dismiss true purpose and direction in favor of temporary and circumstantial meaning. So we just want to unpack this a little bit before we get into the affirmations. Um, to discover, articulate, and identify. These words are very, very specific. Um, to discover, not to invent, because we are working with the premise that we have a purpose in this world, an individual purpose. Okay, as Klal Yisrael, as the nation of Israel, yeah, we believe. I mean, however many of you here are religious or whatever, we believe that we have a national purpose. Okay, being Jewish, which is Torah and mitzvahs. But we also believe that we have an individual private purpose also that obviously would not be in contradiction to that, obviously. Um, but it's something that are we believe came before our creation. For example, you don't create a car and then work out what it's going to be used for. The purpose is what drives the creation. And that's how we understand our personal creation. That a we have a personal mission, you could call it, in this world. So we're not trying to invent it, we're trying to discover it, which is quite a big statement, okay? And it's a belief. But it's probably the most important belief I think there is. Then you have to articulate it, which means not in some kind of vague, general way. It could also be in a vague general way, but to try and articulate it as specifically as possible, and then to identify with it. So we're talking about this idea of identifying with all these funny ideas that we have. Yeah, what we need to do, what the goal here is to discover our mission, to articulate it, and then to actually become our mission, which is what my Rebbe calls the transitioning from what you are to why you are, which is probably the most important leap you could ever make, is to become the why you are and stop just being what you are. What you are is not particularly amazing, but why you are, that is connecting to the creator's purpose of having made you, which means you end up basically sharing of the creator's reality as opposed to just being your own little self-contained human. Okay, so the affirmations are: I know I was created for a unique purpose that only I can fulfill. I know I was created for a unique purpose that only I can fulfill. Without recognizing my deepest values, my life is without meaning and direction. Without recognizing my deepest values, my life is without meaning or direction.
without recognizing
I am committed. One moment. I am committed to discovering my unique mission and articulating it with precision and clarity. I am committed to discovering my unique mission and articulating it with precision and clarity. So the actual the image, we've got this idea of vision and blueprint, yeah, like obviously the vision comes before the blueprint, because if you don't have a vision of what you want to create, well then how can you create a blueprint? By the way, if anybody doesn't mind turning on their cameras, if they're not on and you don't mind, it's nice for me, but no pressure. um so if you don't have a vision, well, then you can't create a blueprint. Yeah, remember, a blueprint doesn't mean you actually made anything. It's still a it's still an intellectual thing. But the blueprint feeds back into the vision. The vision is the initial, when you walk past you know, the the massive empty space, and then all of a sudden you have the idea of building the Disney town that they're building in Palm Springs. Some guy drove past that place and like, wow, we could have make 10,000 apartments here with a shopping center and a cinema, etc., etc. Yeah. But once you have the vision, then you start kind of constructing it, then that mental process feeds back into the vision and it helps the vision extend and gives it length and depth and breadth. So we're talking about the blueprint and the vision, yeah? And they form they feed into each other. Now, the actual like the visual to have of not having um or not knowing your mission, not being clear on why you're here, is like the idea of a small ship out at sea. Okay, imagine you paddle out in your vessel 2, 3, 4, 5 kilometers out into the sea to the point where the land where you came from vanishes. And all of a sudden, you are surrounded 360 degrees by ocean. Okay. And you're not a navigator. You don't know about the stars. You don't know about the clouds. You don't know about the sun, whatever it is. Yeah. And all you see around you is the same. Everything's the same. So which way do you start paddling? Where'd you go? So what will happen basically is you'll kind of paddle this way a little bit, yeah, and you'll see nothing kind of comes of that. So then you'll try the other direction, and you'll see that not much comes of that. And what will happen is if you like fly up and you get a big bird's eye view and you look down, you'll see that little vessel, all it's been doing is just kind of, you know, covering 100 square meters, going backwards and forwards, and it didn't really get anywhere. That's how life is when you don't have some kind of guiding mission. It's it's like you just don't have energy. You don't like, does everyone remember like a lot of times when people at school and stuff like that, when they were studying for their exams and their whole life was, their finals or their A levels or their masters or their whatever they were studying for, yeah? And they were really driven. They had so much energy to do what they needed to do. And now, when it's just like kind of, we'll just deal with it. We'll just, what do you want me to do? I'm earning money, I'm paying for my family, or I'm earning money to have to go out for a drink or do whatever I'm doing, however it is. Where's the mission there? Where's the energy coming from? And the answer is there is no energy. There's no energy there. You can't be energized if you don't have a place where you're going to. By definition, it just dissipates. So this is the essence of of knowing your mission. So what is the everyone can shout, put right into the chat if they want. What do you think is the most, if you want to discover the purpose for why you're here, what's the most important? What's the first step? What would you do? Know yourself. What am I capable of? That's good. Those are good starts. Know your strength. Know Hashem runs the world. Write down your good qualities. Be open to service. Identifying strengths. To be honest with yourself. Know your individual personality and health. Look at your life and what has been successful. Find what you're good at, what moves you, what excites you, etc. Okay, so no one said it. Start dreaming. That's close. Know your weaknesses, build your foundations, see what your vision is. Okay, this is from my experience. This is absolutely the way that you access your vision is you become intolerant of the fact that you don't know what you're here to do. That's the first step. You have to develop an an absolute intolerance, an absolute, I can't think of a stronger word. Can someone think of a strong word for intolerance? a a an aversion, a repulsion, an allergy. That's what I was trying to think of. Something more like just to become completely intolerant of the fact that you don't know what you're here to do. That's the first, that is the foundation of knowing what you're here to do, is becoming allergic to the fact that you don't know what you're here to do. So what I've done is I've actually framed that as a prayer. Okay, and we've actually put in the booklets on page 77 an actual prayer that I'm not assuming you're going to read it word for word, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to try and write your own prayer. And basically that's my only prayer. My only prayer is, Hashem, show me what you want from me and help me do it. In give me the resources, give me the energy, give me the will, give me the intelligence, give me the connections, give me the serendipitous meetings, etc. Just tell me why you made me, show me why you made me. And that's I think the most important dialogue to continuously have with your creator. If you have a dialogue with your creator, is to constantly ask, what is needed of me? Why am I here? And and this is so important. Then the question really becomes, well, if this is so important, why didn't your creator just tell you outright why you're here? That's a good question, no? Why didn't you get born with some kind of tattoo on your foot? Or why at the age of, 21 or 13 or 12 or whatever it is, why doesn't a note fall down from heaven and say, Small Diamond, you need to do this, this, and this? Why doesn't that happen? What's the benefit? What's the benefit of asking Hashem for for so free will? That's not really like that's how it's working. But why do you need free will in this? So the reason why we're not told outright is a very deep principle, which I learned from Stephen Covey, which is how we deal with our employees. If any of you have employees, one of the most foundational ideas that I know of in dealing with employees is making them feel, not in some kind of, in a real way, actually making it true that your employee. I have Devora here who's worked for you for many years now. She could testify to this, and she's been the most amazing employee that you could ever imagine. And I think a lot of it is predicated on this, is that the job of the employer is to make the employee feel that it's their business, that their job is their own private business. It happens to exist in context of your business, but it's their private business. If you can help your employee feel that way, which means you really have to make it that way, yeah, then your employee will start to take their job personally, and then they will invest themselves into it in a way that would be impossible if they weren't taking it personally. Everyone understands what I just said there? That makes sense? Just do a thumbs up if that makes sense. Okay. So that's the reason why we don't just get told what we're here to do. Because if we just got told what we're here to do, it would just end up being another job. It would just be our job. Whereas when we have to discover it ourselves, then we have the opportunity to deeply identify with it, and it doesn't become a job, it becomes us. See, that's the difference between someone who works for McDonald's and Mr. McDonald's, let's say. Yeah. So the guy who works for McDonald's, he's there, and let's say he's a good worker. Yeah. He's working like, he's making his burgers and his chips and is doing all the things he needs to do. Yeah. But it's him doing these things. His head is probably thinking about what he's going to be doing after work, or what he did before work, or what he's going to do with the money that he's earning from his work. Yeah. But you got his hands. Mr. McDonald has his hands. Yeah. But Mr. McDonald himself, yeah, when he's out busting deals with different. I mean, now McDonald's is I think they're just a real estate company basically, and hardware. They've got nothing to do with actual food. They just whatever. But that man, yeah, the guy at the top, who it's his business, it's him. It's not like he's doing things. It's him. He's doing things, but it's not just the hands, it's the whole being. Does that make sense? I don't think I said that very well. Does that make sense? Once you've actually become, it's like I had someone once ask me, a good friend of mine, he's a very, very successful businessman. He sold his business, and he whatever. So he asked me this question, which was at the end of these meetings they have, like these kind of, these spiritual get-togethers. Sometimes the question at the end, they sit together and schmooze, and it kind of drags on, and he doesn't know like when to call it, when to say enough's enough. So he was asking me, well, when do I like stop these kind of rolling conversations? And I said to him, like, when you were a businessman, did you ever have like that problem? At the end of when a meeting was finished, did you just kind of sit there and like shoot the breeze, and did it just when a meeting's if you're a serious businessman, the meeting finishes, you clap your hands, you say, well, that was really productive, thank you very much, shake your hands, and you go. Why? Because that's who you are. You're not having to kind of work out what to do, because you are what you do. You've become it. You've become making money, let's say. It's not such a good thing to become. But if you've become making money, then you don't have to be checking your behavior so much. You understand? Because you're that. That's what we're talking about identifying with your mission. So you have to discover your mission, you have to identify with your mission, which comes through cultivating an intolerance to not knowing your mission. And once you start to discover your mission, and that will probably take place from my understanding and my experience, it doesn't just happen like that. It gradually unfolds. Yeah, but there could very well be a time where you're like, wow, yeah, or it could be many times when you go, wow, as it gradually unfolds, and you will find yourself identifying with it more and more, meaning that you're becoming your mission. And then all of a sudden, you'll stop having to um, manage yourself so much. Like the concept of time management will start to fall away. You with me? If you are, let's say you are making money, let's say it's not a nice thing to say, but let's say that's your mission, to just make money, yeah, and you've become that, you don't need to slap yourself in the head and say, why did I sit there for 30 minutes watching YouTube? yeah, you're making money. If you don't really care that much about making money, yeah, then you can get sucked into YouTube for half an hour. But if you've become making money and half an hour of YouTube is not going to make you any money, then you won't be doing that. That's clear? So this is what we're trying to do. It's not just that we need to discover our mission, we need to identify with the mission. We need to become our mission. I just quote Viktor Frankl, beautiful, beautiful line he wrote. Yeah, ultimately, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather he must recognize that it is he who is being asked. That is so profound. Ultimately, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather he must recognize that it is he who is being asked. Okay, so knowing your mission is called leadership. The next principle that we're going to be speaking about, which is called do what matters, that's management. So I'll describe to you management quickly in context of a ladder. Okay, management is about climbing the ladder. Okay, it's management would involve the process of working out how to climb the ladder in the best, most effective, most efficient, safest, most etc etc way. Okay, so as a manager, you would be working out exercise regimes, you would be doing regular maintenance tests on the ladder. Yeah, you would be trying to improve the design of the ladder, etc etc. Yeah, in this context, what would leadership be? If that's management, working out how to climb the ladder in our moshel, in our analogy, in our metaphor, if climbing the ladder is management, what's leadership, which must come before management? You can write down in the chat if you like. Why to
Climbing the ladder.
climbing? Well, that would be included in management. That's what exactly. Vision, deciding the ladder is needed, where to place the ladder. That's exactly the point. Leadership is what wall do you lean the ladder against? Management is how to climb the ladder. That's what we're going to learn next week, which is called Do What Matters. But know your mission is determining which wall to lean your ladder against. Now, there's a terrible danger in our generation. I don't know if it, I don't think it existed in any previous generations. And don't forget, most of the previous generations never had this privilege of even the thought of having to uncover their mission because, oh, sorry, one moment. Um, they never had the privilege of having to discover their mission because they were so busy just trying to get through life, just trying to, just trying to earn enough money to live or to, run away from, bloodthirsty Cossacks or whatever it was we were being chased by. In our generation now, things are very different. So this is really this wasn't as relevant to previous generations as it is to our generation en masse. Um, but there's a terrible thing now. Everyone's heard the joke of like the idea of, no one on their deathbed says, I wish I spent more hours in the office. Everyone's heard that before, yeah? Could you imagine somebody on their deathbed saying, I wish I spent more hours on YouTube? I would rather spend more hours in the office than on YouTube. And it's much easier to spend hours on YouTube than it is in the office. You understand what I'm saying? Meaning that in our generation, we unfortunately have the I don't know what you call it. What is it? Not the the ability to literally, I mean, can you imagine what people are going to feel like at 70 years old? I'm 47 and a month and 5 weeks. If one, I'm the beginning of when the internet, I got born 1979. I'm exactly the year like when I know before and after internet, yeah. But imagine when my age starts getting to 70, 80 years old, and we look back and we don't see much more than just our browsing history. Imagine the kind of brokenheartedness that's going to engender. In the old days, it was, oh, I spent too many hours in the office. Well, at least I made some money, at least I was with people, like impacting people's lives, etc. Yeah, what about, forward to 2045, and people are like, wow, I wish I spent more time in the office. That's a scary thought. But that's something we have to be very aware of, that there are things vying for our attention right now that are so utterly unworth our attention. I mean, I'm talking to myself just as much as to everyone here. It's so hard. We're sitting in front of a computer all day. Everyone, how many people are you work in front of a computer all day? Just do a thumbs up. Yeah, most people, wherever it is, and you've got your phone in your pocket, and everyone, like, how do you resist? Like, how do you resist, the latest Mr. Beast with the new whatever thing he's put, $100 million in, for just to amuse your eyes for 30 seconds, you know? How do you resist that? It's a tremendous struggle. It's a tremendous struggle. So just be very aware of that. The idea of the brokenness that it would engender placing your ladder again. Let me play a clip for you. Actually, I'm just gonna share my screen for 1 minute. Play a very it's cute, but it's actually it's a bit disturbing. But 1 moment. So this is a seed, but it's very important to see what it means when you see somebody who feels that they've put a lot of energy into something that wasn't really worth putting the energy into. 1 minute. It's about a minute, okay?
From the upcoming film True Crimes, please welcome two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey.
Thank you. I am two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey. When I go to sleep at night, I'm not just a guy going to sleep. I'm two-time Golden Globe winner, Jim Carrey, going to get some well-needed shut-eye. And when I dream, I don't just dream any old dream. No, sir. I dream about being three-time Golden Globe winning actor Jim Carrey. Because then I would be enough. It would finally be true. And I could stop this terrible search.
It's a very painful an idea of having invested our time into something, invested energy into going in a direction, and then discovering it was, the wrong wall that our ladder was placed against. So that's what we're here to do. Okay, so you might have noticed that I haven't actually there's been no like homework, yeah, which is quite surprising for like a course like this. All I've asked you to do is just stay on top of the media that we've been sending to you, yeah? That's been nice. People have appreciated that, yeah, that I haven't been telling you to do stuff because no one does it anyway. And then you just feel guilty that you don't do it and you drop out. So I decided no. Okay, but I'm now going to beg you to do something this week. Okay? Beg or nag. Is my dad still here? I think he's gone. So as a child, I was an expert nagger. I was a phenomenal nagger, yeah. So my dad here is gone. So I'm gonna actually use my koyach of nagging to help you to do this because I don't know of anything more important. Okay, what is it that I'm gonna ask you to do? This is the key to accessing your inner world. It's such a powerful way of accessing your inner world. Okay, is writing your eulogy. Not writing your eulogy as if I was to die now, what people would say about me. Absolutely not. It's writing my eulogy from the eyes of, if you're married, your spouse or your children, if you're not, your brothers, sisters, best friends, parents, even from your creator, whatever it is, that you're going to write a eulogy from their perspective of what you want them to say at your funeral. Now, I've actually included, I'm really trying to help here. Like, I don't feel comfortable with the fact that I did this, but I did. On page 82, I included the eulogy that I wrote. Now, I would recommend one of two options. Either don't read it, that's the best option. Don't read it. Yeah. Second best option is after the class, maybe read it extremely quickly and make sure not to remember anything. The problem with this is I kind of, when I was deciding whether to put it in or not, I did decide to put it in because I know there's it's so difficult to do this. I wanted to kind of help, and at the same time, the danger of it is that it might impact what you write, and that can't be. This is an activity of going inside your own heart and asking yourself, what do I care about? And I'm going to read you a couple of, actually, I did this one moment. I'm just going to read you a couple of things that people wrote about the eulogy again. I just want you to do this. I'm actually share my screen again. One moment. I'll actually share the screen this time. Okay, everyone sees my screen, yeah? So I just wanted to add, I did my HESPED, and I'm sure everyone gives you the same sort of response, but it genuinely is life-changing. It's one thing to think it and another to put it down onto paper. Can't wait to get going on the mission statement. Okay, thanks. This was really helpful. I spent 2 hours this morning working on it, and most of them spent with a very close friend of mine. This was absolutely transformational. Okay, I really enjoyed it, and at this early stage, the seeming benefits have been as follows. Got me in touch in a concrete way with who I am and where I'm heading, and thus building my confidence. Given me a peace and calm that I have my personal compass in concrete form that I can refer to regardless of what my confidence level is at the moment. This has crystallized who I am, what I can give, and my flavor of operating. Not quite sure what that last thing means. Just excited, that's why I'm writing. Oh, another one. Wow. Just finished the eulogy from my wife. So powerful. I'm crying and just thinking I want to be so much more than I am. Happy though with what I have achieved till now, even though so much more to do and grow. Couple more. Spent 2 hours on the eulogy while flying to Eretz Yisrael this past Thursday night. Wow, what an emotional time. People next to me on the plane were looking at me while tears were streaming down my face. I had to stop after 2 hours. I now need to finish it, refine and edit. Ooh, phew. What an undertaking, no pun intended. Okay, I got a bunch more as well. I don't need to go on about that anymore. So I can't stress this enough. I would say from my if I wouldn't nag and give the introduction like I gave, I'd probably say about 15 to 20% of you might do it. Yeah, with this nagging and introduction, I would say maybe 50% of you will do it. Yeah, please be in the 50% who does it. Yeah, what I would do right now, what we're going to do right now is this. Okay, who's got the booklet? Who's got the actual physical booklet with them? Yeah. Okay. So if you look on page 93, yeah, everyone open to page 93. And if you don't have the booklet with you, please grab yourself a blank piece of paper. Okay. If you look at page 93, all it is just a blank piece of paper. So you can get yourself a blank piece of paper. And we're just gonna start now. I want everyone to write their first line of their eulogy. Now, what happens is the first line is always the most. It's always the most important thing to you as well. So hopefully, if we start, then that will maybe change the dynamic from 50% to maybe 70% of us doing it, maybe. But let's start. We're going to take out literally about 90 seconds and quickly decide who, and if you want to change later, you can change later, but quickly make a decision from whose perspective, whether it's your spouse or your child or your parent or your sibling or your best friend or your Rebbe or your employer or your whatever you want, whatever, yeah, or God himself, yeah, and and write down the first line. Okay, let's just take 90 seconds to do that right now.
Could I clarify what we want to be or what we are?
No, 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 no. What we want to be, what we want to be. Absolutely. This one of the things from the feedback that we've got now, hundreds of people have done this, and one of the feedbacks we've got was one of the most powerful. I heard it a few times from people. They were like, "Wow, when I did this, I've like lived in this society where everyone told me that I have to do what, especially if you're a frum Jew, you're told what your values are. And when the person did this, they realized that their values, they weren't out of line with Torah, but they weren't, just learning Torah or whatever they'd been given from the script of the community. And they felt like it was like they got born. Just writing it, they felt they were born because it was and then it was it took again a lot of courage to discover what it is that your heart, what it is that your inner compass is telling you. What's your soul saying? What's your purpose? What's your mission? And like I said, as a nation, as the nation of Israel, as Klal Yisrael, we have a national purpose, 100%. But that's why we're all individuals. That's why we're all different, because we have our own individual purpose. No matter how old you are, whether you're 15 or whether you're 85, if you're still here, you've still got a mission, for sure. Yeah, you raised a hand? Baruch Levi, you raised a hand, or that was a mistake? A mistake.
No, no, it wasn't a mistake. Isn't the thing what we want to be known as, isn't that something that we already have inside ourselves, but it's just something we need to cultivate rather than like, I want to be something because I admire it in someone else, but it's not really me.
Yeah, absolutely. You're trying to discover what it is that you're about. Something to cultivate, but you can't cultivate it if you haven't discovered it yet. And if you're living in a society where they tell you you have to be this, you have to be this, you have to be this, when in fact you need to be something else, yeah, then you can't cultivate that, can you, if you don't ever discover what that is? And I don't know of a better way than writing a eulogy. I don't know of a better way of accessing that place in your heart that knows what it is that you're here to do. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I just tell you, I wrote my eulogy in 2013. Yeah, I was at 2013. I was at the peak of my photography career. I was really, I mean, the truth is, it did go actually further, but it was at the peak of when I was trying to build my photography business, and and I only realized this when I look back. There's not one, not one word about photography. Not one word about photography. There's the words about, being efficient and streamlining and systemization, things like that, yeah. But nothing about photography. And it was surprising when I look back. It was surprising. I didn't have any aspirations to be the biggest, best photographer. And it's these kinds of things. They're surprising. It's surprising that you'll find that you might be actually, very different and wanting something very different to what the world is telling you that you should want. Gabrielle, should be writing several years from different people's perspective. People have done that. I didn't do that personally. And again, remember, everything that I'm telling you, there's no rules to it. Okay. What I want you to do really is to take the ball and run with it. Just hear the idea as deeply as possible, and then you go with it. So if you want to write it from endless perspectives, that might be great. I've had people do that. But again, there's no rules. There's no rules. Okay, has everybody done that? Anybody wants to read out their first line? No pressure. It's usually not, usually people don't, it's not too intimate or personal. Anybody wants to read out the first line, feel free. If not, we'll move on. Anybody?
I can do it.
Okay.
Augie.
Hi, Augie. How you doing?
So this is good. I'm doing. I could be doing better, but I'm doing good. You know, crying, but I appreciate it. My Kalina, my wife, and from her perspective, Augie, what a kind, honest, character-driven person I got to meet or I got to marry, and know what a beautiful soul I got to encounter so close to God.
That was basically like the first line of my eulogy. And I'd imagine most people will write something like that. Notice how most people don't write, he was a tremendous Talmud Chacham. Yeah. It's an important thing to realize that. Because when you're living according to what everybody else tells you to be, yeah, and it's not only is it going to be inauthentic, but you're not going to really be driven. You're not going to actually be pushing to that. But once you discover who it is you're here, like I have a friend called Jerry Latinik. Anybody knows Jerry Latinik? He lives in Efrat. He's a fantastic man. And he discovered that he is just all about kindness. Like Uri, what you just said about how the first word that came in your eulogy was kind. Yeah. He discovered that, and he ended up accessing this place in himself, and he's built an empire literally called Just One Chesed, a Chesed empire. It's unbelievable what he's built. Yeah, but that you can't do that if it's not personal. If it's not you, you can't build an empire out of something that's not you. And not everybody needs to build an empire. Don't get me wrong. Some people's missions are very modest. They don't have to be, some people's missions are very modest. But whatever the mission is, the energy that you need to fulfill that mission has to be coming from an inner, from you, from the inner point of your heart. It has to. So now, once you've written out, thank you for that, Augie, I appreciate that. Once you've written out your eulogy, now what I would suggest, it's Sunday, yeah. I think by everybody it's Sunday. Unless you're in Australia, maybe. Schedule it. We're going to talk about this next week, okay? Look at your diary right now, okay? It's Sunday. So you got Monday morning, Monday afternoon, Monday evening, yeah, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, okay? So before you finish this, or the minute we finished our session now, yeah, take your pen and block off an hour and a half, block off 2 hours, 2 hours, and commit. Remember keeping promises? Make this promise and keep it. Commit. Take your pen, commit to Tuesday morning. 2 hours. I'm unavailable. I'm dead. So I'm gonna write my eulogy. I'm dead for 2 hours. Yeah. Phones away. Yeah. Get yourself a cup of coffee. Yeah. No computer. Use a pen and paper. Okay. Go somewhere quiet. No children. No parents. No clients. Go off the radar for 2 hours and treat yourself to this. Treat yourself to this time. And courageously look into your heart, and no one's going to see this. This is between you and yourself. This is between you and yourself, and you don't have to pretend. You don't have to pretend that you want to be something if you don't want to be it, because no one else is going to see this. And you can write, and you must write what is coming out of your heart, and that will start to get you in touch with who you actually are, and that is your definition. That is by definition your mission. You and your mission are one thing. You are a mission. You are the reason why you got created. Now, that was the easy bit, okay? That was the easy bit. This is the hard bit that you also have to do, but I'm not going to nag you about this right now. Yeah, but that's a short-term goal. The eulogy is a short-term goal. Yeah, by next class, we should all have done that. Okay. Now, the medium to long-term project is our mission statement. Anybody has a mission statement? Anyone knows what a mission statement is? So a good example of a mission statement is the American Constitution. That is a mission statement writ large. And now what the President of the United States should be doing, I don't know whether he does it or not, should be doing, is when he has to make a decision, any decision, well, he should just know it anyway, but conceptually, he should pull out the Constitution,
American
and
Constitution.
it should give him an answer to the decision that he needs to make. That's what a mission statement is. Your mission statement is an articulation of your mission. It's a mission statement. And to the best of my knowledge, it can only come after the eulogy exercise. The eulogy exercise is a means to an end. Yeah. It's the first step on creating, and it's a very powerful step and a massive step on the creation of your mission statement. But you need your mission statement. Okay. And this is something that I lived with for many years now. I'm gonna give you I only really realized this because there's the next after this class, which is called Journey to a Blessed Life. There's a much longer class I'm in the process of building right now, which is called Living the Life, which is this class, but just given length and breadth and depth, and it's much, much more. So I've been doing deep dives into all of these principles, and we just finished Know Your Mission. We're just starting now, Do What Matters. So I did some serious, many hours of extra research and going deeper and self-searching as well in myself in regards to knowing your mission. And I'll tell you what I discovered, which was amazing. I'm not going to spoil it for you if you decide to go on with this. I'll just give it to you quickly. Is that I had this mission statement. Here you go. See, my wife, it's difficult to see, I think, but for one of my birthdays, my wife made it into like a little plaque that sits on my desk. Now I know my mission statement off by heart. I knew it off by heart. Yeah. I had it on a little piece of paper that used to live in my telephone that I would fold out. Whenever I'd be in the bathroom, I'd read it again and again and again. And whenever I'd get a spare minute, I'd read it again and again and again and again and again. And it's a process that we say the process is the goal. The mission statement is actually not the goal. Yeah, don't think I need to have a mission statement. The actual goal is creating the mission statement, because as you read it again and again, you'll go through it and you'll refine it, and you'll let go of things, you'll add things, etc., etc. It's like a living, breathing thing. So what happened was I remembered it battle pair off by heart. I went through it so many times. I had it off by heart until you actually become your mission, until you become your mission statement, and then you don't have to. When decisions come towards you, when decisions come your way, you won't need to, you won't need to pull out the mission statement. That's what you are. That's who you are, and you act. Pardon me, you act accordingly. So now, this for me was absolutely amazing, because I haven't really looked at my mission statement for many years now. Meaning, I think I wrote it in 2013. Let's say, I think something like that. I wrote it 2013, and I lived with it for many years. Let's say until 2022, something like that. And for the past few years, I haven't really referred to it. I mean, now I'm doing all this work with Blessed Life. I've been looking back at it, yeah. Because why? Because I felt I became it, and I didn't need it anymore because I am it. I've just become my mission statement. But then I realized, and this was really quite amazing, show you, is that when I looked at my business card that I made from this organization that I've created called B'nai Aliyah, the strapline is helping Yidden serve Hashem Lishma, which would be translated as helping Jews serve God selflessly, let's say. And I realized that's my mission statement now. That's it. Because I've become so kind of obsessed with doing what I was created to do. I mean, think of it like this. What would be a great analogy? Imagine everyone's got a printer, yeah, with a little screen. You've got your printer with your little LCD screen on it, you know, where you press the buttons. Yeah, everyone's got that kind of thing. Yeah, Michael's giggling already because he said me say this 100 times. But you got your computer, you got your printer with a little LCD screen, and you hit print on your Google Doc, and nothing happens. And you walk over to the printer, and on the screen is a picture of a middle finger up, yeah, and it says underneath it, you know, leave me alone right now, I'm busy. Come back to me in try again in an hour and we'll see how I'm feeling. That's the insanity of not doing what we were created to do. Everyone's laughing, but that is it. We were created to do something. Getting sidetracked and doing something else is absurd. It's crazy. It's really crazy. So from it's so essential on every level of our being, for emotional well-being, for spiritual well-being, for physical well-being, for intellectual well-being, etc. It's absolutely essential. And all of that's just a side point. It's just essential because it just makes sense. You need to do what you were created to do. Oh, excuse me. That one day I'll tell everyone what I keep doing with that thing. The idea of not knowing our mission and becoming identified with our mission and becoming our mission and living our mission is crazy. The only thing that's stopping us is if we feel, well, do I really have a mission? Am I really, you know, maybe I'm just not special enough or talented enough. I'm just kind of like I'm a background character kind of person. Yeah, that's completely wrong. That's absolutely false. Yeah, if you are created, you have a specific mission in this world. Again, it might be modest. It might not be, you know, bringing down the tablets from Mount Sinai. It might not be that. Yeah, it might be something that appears to be much less, but in context of who we are, it's the same thing. And the world is lacking as much if we don't fulfill that as if Moshe didn't bring down the Luchos from Har Sinai. Okay, so I'm we're finishing up now, but there's a lot more that you'll see in the book as we go along. There's a lot more details that I give if you read through the text this week. The equation to finding out what you're here to do is like this. Okay, it's values times passion times some kind of need in the world, that equals your mission. So the values are going to be revealed to you profoundly through your eulogy. Yeah, that you'll start to understand what you really value. And it's amazing how most people never knew what they value until they've done this project. So number one is working out your values. Number two is understanding what your passion is. So a passion, the best way of knowing your passion is working out what is the thing that you can be involved in, and time just goes. You're not thinking about time when you're involved in it. Yeah. Not everyone has something they've discovered like that, but most of us have something that when we're involved in X, and it might look funny, like, you know, maybe, you know, playing pool or snooker is your passion. Yeah, we obviously didn't get created to play pool or snooker, but maybe there's something, if you look deeper into that and understand the idea of precision or geometry or symmetry or something deeper, yeah, you might be able to uncover something like that. I'm just saying, if your passion is shopping, yeah, then work out, go a little deeper and work out what that really is. Yeah, maybe that's again. So values times passion, and what's something that's necessary in the world that isn't there right now? What's something that's lacking? And you'll find that. And again, it could be on a very small level. It could be in your house. It could be just on your, in your immediate community, or it could be in the whole world. It really depends on who you are. But once you've discovered what your values are, once you've articulated and kind of pinpointed your passions, you'll almost inevitably be able to see where the world is missing this. And that's the equation. And now you've got something, now you've begun to uncover your mission. And I'm gonna tell you, Michael's here also, so I'll tell you another story with Michael Novak. Michael's the star of our show today. So when I was what happened with me, just to tell you my story very quickly, is I've been a photographer for many years. I'm a Baal Tshuva, so at 21 years old, I came to Israel. I didn't even know Aleph Beis, and I went on this big journey of learning and discovering, etc. When I was a kid, I got in all kinds of trouble. I got kicked out of school. I did all the drugs you could do. I did all the kind of funny stuff kids do where I came from. And I was learning intensely when I got to yeshiva, and I started learning all the self-help books and psychology and Hasidus and Kabbalah and all kinds of stuff. I had a family, I got married, I had a family, I had a business, I built a few different businesses, and I had so many different kind of fragmented experiences, yeah. And what happened about 3 years ago, just before Purim, I got a job in Tulum in Mexico, taking pictures at a kind of Jewish meditational retreat. And a good friend of mine, who's a good friend of mine now, I met there, called Yoel Halpern, who's like a macher. Since then, he actually moved to Israel. He is a real macher in like the LA scene, in Pico, in the Jewish LA scene. And I used to write essays, Torah essays. And long story short, I gave him one when I was there, and he got deeply affected by it. And within a few weeks, I was now giving a weekly share to the Chevra in LA, and starting to become like kind of this virtual rabbi to a bunch of guys in LA that I'd never met. And then they flew me out there, and then from that, this whole thing kind of developed and built. And this was about a year and a half ago or something. One of the trips out to LA, Michael, who's part of the Chevra there, was driving me back to the airport. And I'd had a week or 2 weeks in LA. And don't forget, until then, I was just a photographer. I was Shmuel Diamond, the photographer. Yeah. All of a sudden, I'm in this position where I'm talking to, not hundreds of people, but dozens and dozens of people, and etc. And he's driving me back to the airport. You remember this, Michael? And I just started to cry because I've been meeting with all these people, and it's like, did anyone see the film Slumdog Millionaire? Do you remember that film? It was a cool film, yeah. It was like this set in India of a guy who was on that, the question thing where we got the 4 questions to be a millionaire or something, like where you have to answer the questions, and you've got like, you can choose a friend or whatever it was, yeah. So they were asking him all these funny questions, and he was remembering back to all these funny things that happened to him where he had the answer, like bahashkacha. And I saw when I was going back to the airport, all of the funny stuff that I'd done, all the drugs I'd done, all the things that I've learned, all the experiences with my family and with my business and with my clients and with etc. etc. It all made sense. It like all came together after 45 years, something like that. It all came together, and I just started to cry my eyes out. It was the most powerful, special experience, and now I live with that now. It goes vital and vital. But if you can develop this this, like we said, intolerance of not knowing what you're here for, you will see almost magically it will all start to like unfold, and you'll start to see everything come together. Crazy things that you went through that make no sense, that were so hard that you would never ever choose to do again ever. If you actually access your mission, you'll realize how you couldn't fulfill your mission without that. And that will probably be the most important part of the process of getting to your mission. That thing that was absolutely unbearable, unfathomable, etc., etc. And when it all comes together and you realize that you've been kind of in a sense manipulated, pushed in that direction from above in a very good, kind way that maybe felt difficult and hard, but when you see it all come together, there's nothing more than that, I believe, that I know of in my life that I've had that can ever even begin to touch that. So look, just as a very quick recap, first things first is we need to create an intolerance of not knowing why we're here. Then we need to write our eulogy, okay? And that's the homework for this week. Please, 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 everyone, please write your eulogy this week. Schedule it in. It will not happen if you don't make it happen. There's nothing that will happen less if you don't make this happen. Yeah, you have to take responsibility for this. No one else will help you. Yeah, take responsibility, write your eulogy, and then we'll take it from there. Next week we'll discuss a little bit further. Okay, let's play our song.
Before
This
you
is a
do,
great.
Shmuel, before you
Yeah.
do, I know you've tasked me with the job of fielding the questions. Give
Yeah.
me one job. There's one job that one question that did come up. I think it's important practically. Someone asked, "What if we can't open up? We find it very difficult to access resources for writing the eulogy. What sort of guidance or advice would you have for sort of opening up to accessing those resources if it's difficult for one to do that?"
Never got asked that before. Anybody can help me out here if you feel that you can't open up. That's why I said it takes deep courage. I mean, it's important to remember this isn't for anybody else. You're not going to be showing this to anyone. You're not going to be, you're
If
not
I
going
can
to.
add to that question,
Yeah,
in other words, it's easy to put on paper, the usual, values that,
gratitude.
uh, exactly, like, oh, caring and loving and, this and that. And then, but like, to really, really, really write it, like, to me, it's all very foreign. It's like, I don't know where to begin,
That's the point. I'll tell you where to begin. Is begin by taking out your schedule and setting a time that you're going to do it. And I'm telling that I'm not joking. I'm not joking. And I'm telling you,
No, no, I see
very
someone wrote Chat GPT.
No, 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 no. I love AI. My whole life is AI. Do not AI. This is Asur. No, 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 no. You can't use AI for this. You can't. That's why I said take a pen and paper. That's like one of the few things that I know of that AI is completely Asur for, is writing your eulogy. It can help you with your mission statement, maybe, but for your eulogy, no way. No, no, no. And I'll tell you what happens with most people. What happened with me is that you kind of, it's like you strike oil. If you can just write that first beginning of and reel, it will like it was like it's like you'll be trying to like hold it down and you'll be writing like this. That's probably my advice to whoever asked that question, and to Arla, is if you can just get the courage to schedule it and sit there with a pen and paper and begin, I think you'll be amazed at what will happen, that your heart will literally open and start gushing. I didn't write
I
it, but
could,
yeah.
if I may suggest that a person should do two steps. First, write what is, although that's not the goal. And when a person writes what is, meaning what is it that right now you would be able to write about yourself, your wife, God, whoever it may be. And at that point, a person says, "Is that what I want?" No. So what
That's
what
nice.
would you want?
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I just say what I can say. Just pick up a piece of paper and start writing.
Thank you, Mike. You did it already, yeah?
I did that right. It just,
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't want to do it. It's like you sit down and start writing, and I sat there for 2, 3 hours, and I didn't think I had anything to say, but it just you writing with it, God help you.
Yeah,
That's
that's it.
basically.
Your heart cracks open and you're like trying to like, no, stop, stop, stop. And you're like grabbing a second pen and a third pen. Yeah.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Hi,
What's your name, sir? Sorry.
David Grossman.
Salam David. Yeah.
I had a mentor once. I was doing some inner child work, and I had some trouble with. He asked me to write something about mother and my father, whatever. And I told him I had choices. David, close your eyes, make a prayer to Hashem, and just put the pencil to the paper, and it's going to start going. It'll start, and it's exactly what happened. I couldn't fathom how it worked, but it happened. It was nice happen, mamish. And that's what I did today. Wrote out a mission statement of myself.
Square.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, we're going to listen to our song, and this is a really cool song. This is really one of my favorite ones. Let me just share my screen. Okay, everyone sees that? 1 minute, everyone can see the screen, yeah?
You didn't just appear, you were made with intent. You have a mission to discover, not to invent. But if you don't chart it, you'll just drift with the tide, like a boat lost at sea, with no stars as your guide. So grab a pen, take a breath, close your eyes, picture the life you want to realize. What will they say when your journey is through? The story they'll tell, it's all up to you. Write your eulogy, but don't dwell on death. It will shape your life and give life to your breath. See where you're headed, define where you stand. A mission on paper puts your life in your hands. But oh, it's not easy. Things will get in your way. Excuses will whisper, distractions all day. But it's just so important. You must get this done. Generations depend on it. You're not the only one. You can climb to the top, rise high like a king, but if the wall is all wrong, it won't mean a thing. Leadership before management is the only way. Take charge of your mission, you must start today. So grab a pen, take a breath, close your eyes, picture the life you want to realize. What will they say when your journey is through? The story they tell, it's all up to you. Write your eulogy, but don't dwell on death. It will shape your life and give life to your breath. See where you're headed, define where you stand. A mission on paper puts your life in your hands. Hashem won't just hand you your mission outright. He wants you to discover it so you'll treasure it right. You must pray, you must long, you must search, you must trust. The answer will come, stay patient, don't rush. So write it, refine it, and do it again. So write it, refine it, and live it. Amen.
Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank you. Okay, everyone. So look, that's it. The only thing I'm asking of you is write your eulogy this week, and then we'll have a lot to do for next week, because next week is like the most practical one of everything. The next week is really like the culmination of our um between man and himself. So we worked out, we decided to live life as opposed to be lived by life. Then we discussed about being humble, which is the ultimate obstacle to doing that. Now we're gonna determine our mission, and then we've got to do it. So that's we're getting there. Okay, everyone, shkoyach. Have a good night, good day, wherever you are.